From the Daily Reporter, this is Ethan Duran. Welcome to Blues and Blueprints, a podcast about construction and development across Wisconsin. I'm Ethan Duran of the Daily Reporter, and this is the Brews and Blueprints podcast. I'm here with Dan Bukiewicz, president of the Milwaukee Building and Construction Trades Council. How are you today, Dan?
Very good, Ethan. Thank you for having me on. I do appreciate the time.
No problem. To start off, can you tell me a little bit about the Milwaukee Building Trades and its role in the industry?
I'd love to. So the Milwaukee Building Trades is actually an organization that was formed in 1910, one of the oldest labor organizations in the city of Milwaukee. At the time, Milwaukee was in a Renaissance building of sorts, and all the unionized trades came together and decided there should be an organization that speaks with one voice for them concerning development issues, safety in the workplace issues, recruitment, project agreements, and things of that nature. Instead of everybody kind of vying for themselves, they wanted one unified voice, and the building trades was then formed. The building trades has really taken part in every landmark project, starting with the early breweries onto things like County Stadium, St. Luke's Hospital, right on up to AmFam Field, Fiserv, Northwest Towers. Then I'm very much dating myself with the First Wisconsin Tower, which is now the Associated Bank Tower. These are all union jobs and landmarks throughout Milwaukee, so we have a really proud history of what we've done here.
Thanks for sharing that. And, there's still the construction boom is going on in Southeast Wisconsin right now as well, on top of all the projects you mentioned. How are unions staying on top of being a key part of the work that's being done in the region?
Well, we've always been very reactive and proactive as to what the markets were going to bring. The unions are pretty savvy. They do keep a finger on the pulse of interest rates and where things are going to go. And of course, policy. And the Biden-Harris policy has really been to do a generational investment back into infrastructure. So it's really no surprise what's going on if you follow that with the CHIPS Act and the IRA and just the rebuilding of everything. Just yesterday we celebrated we did a remembrance of the 80th anniversary of the Normandy invasion, which signaled the end of World War II. And the United States went through a large infrastructure boom shortly after World War II. And that was about 70 years ago, and all those structures and things are worn out. So lead lines, expressways, sewers, ports, airports, they all need to be rebuilt by this generation. So, right now, this is a generational opportunity for folks, particularly young folks entering into the trades, to really have a family-sustaining career. So, the unions are really poised to take advantage of this. We've upped our training. We've expanded training facilities. We've expanded apprenticeship. More importantly, we've been inclusive to get those that need it the most for the opportunities to come into these work opportunities.
Now, Dan, you sort of covered quite a few things. I was going to ask about, whether it was workforce, inclusion, infrastructure, and even safety. I guess I'll start off and ask, what is the state of safety in construction? I understand, some contractors, for example, are switching out of the iconic hard hat and getting the helmets with the chin straps, I believe. How is, what's the evolution of safety looking like in construction right now?
Well, we can take a deeper dive into these, and I'm really glad you asked about safety because that is paramount what the union trades really strive to do. And technology is constantly evolving. And you bring up a great example with these hard helmets. It just makes sense. They're made of better material, lighter material. They breathe better. More importantly, they stay on your head if something happens. If they get knocked off, if you fall off the ladder, they stick with you. And statistically speaking, you're far safer with that thing on your head than without. So it totally makes sense. But as I said, technology is changing the way we do work. So you're seeing non-cut gloves on hands these days, which was, never really the status quo back in the day. Safety glasses, goggles, earplugs, respirators. And then the real aspect comes in is the training of it. The equipment's only as good as if you receive the training on how to use it and why to use it. And every person in the unionized building trades is going through OSHA 10, if not OSHA 30, to understand not only the hazards, but how to use this equipment and where to utilize it. So it's constantly evolving. Even on some job sites, our folks will actually wear devices that if it will detect a sudden shock to the body. So say that a person does have an incident and falls off a ladder, it will feel that body hitting the ground or what have you, and it'll send a distress signal out if it's anything beyond the norm of, think of it as like a sensor and a bumper, so to speak. And then it automatically will alert a safety person for help. So on some job sites, that's already been instituted, as well as GPS, so you can locate that person on a large project. Sometimes, you can be a quarter mile away still on the same project, and where is this person located? So technology is playing a huge role in moving safety forward, and I'm glad to say that our locals are really spearheading the efforts to do this. One other aspect of safety, we talked about physical, but mental as well. The building trades has made huge investments in mental well-being of their workers. It's just a lot of stress. We just went through the pandemic. The industry in itself lends to stress. There's deadlines and responsibilities, and then you pile on what life brings you, and it can be a stressful environment for our folks. So we have employee assistance programs, outreach. We have hotlines as well as QR codes on most job sites, if not all of them, where you can easily get assistance to talk to these folks if you're experiencing any of that.
That's great to hear. Out of curiosity, do you track like metrics for how often QR codes are used? Do you see it becoming, or maybe mental health in general becoming like a larger part of the conversation in construction safety?
Due to HIPAA laws, we really don't track it per se, Ethan, but, we know it's a large part of the industry. We understand there's also substance abuse that happens within the industry, and we're trying to curb that as well. Our members, it's hard on the bodies, and sometimes they'll be prescribed something from a doctor, and unfortunately, sometimes they can get dependent on it in some means. So we're trying to educate folks there, and really institute, the education early on, the dangers of what these substances can bring. So, everything's confidential when you go in for assistance. The main goal is we want you correct. We want you right. We want you happy. We want you living your best life. And again, if they can click on that and get the necessary help they need, whether it's just stress, somebody to talk to, or, possibly even a rehabilitation, we are all behind that.
You brushed on another topic I would be happy to go over with you on about recruiting for a new workforce, not just, people to fill in the skills gap, as they might call it, but also, inclusion and including a lot of younger people, starting as apprentices on big projects and whatnot. Can you tell me a little bit about the recruitment efforts the building trades has right now and how they touch on those different areas?
Yeah, I'll talk about it a little bit in two parts. Obviously we understand that we have to fill our pipelines, and we go to the high schoolers and middle schoolers to begin with, and we message out. So we regularly will go to middle grade classes and tell the kids that the trades are a viable career opportunity if they should so choose. And then we follow up with that with usually about twice a year we'll be into the high schools, different ones, and as these kids progress through their freshman through senior years, they see us once, twice a year. And we're reminding them, if they're not college bound, that they may want to look into a trade. So education is key. Television always depicts the trades as just a few on a job site. You see the electricians, plumbers, ironworkers, carpenters, things of that nature. But there's industrial painters, there's sprinkler fitters, there's tile setters, insulators, cement masons. There's a whole host of crafts people can explore and get into. We also very much sponsor high school programs, from Knights Construction, where the kids actually build a house, to the classes going on at Bradley Tech, to the Tosa East School of Trade. We deal with that. So we're in there helping these kids with the projects, letting them explore what needs to be done. With a consortium on the south side, we do hands-on events throughout the year at Franklin and Whitnall. We do, in conjunction with Building Advantage, we have a big hands-on day event for Milwaukee Public School kids at Fiserv. So there's no lack of experience for these kids. And as a matter of fact, in 2 weeks, from the 24th to the 28th, all our training centers are open for what's called the Summer Academy. And we partner with WRTP Big Step. This year, we'll bring up to 170 students through there to do hands-on in 10 different training centers to experience 14 different trades. It's really valuable. They get a half day with each trade, and they really get to see what they like and what they don't like. So that's really part of it. The second thing is diversity. I'd really like to kind of touch on diversity, because we are, really striving to get the trades to look like the communities that we're working in. So we spend an excellent amount of effort and time within different demographics, to the point we went and had our female workers forum Empower. It is strictly a female group. It is a branch of building trades, and they go out and they help mentor and recruit young ladies that may want to enter into the trades. Once they get into the trades, they continue to mentor, work with them on their journey to becoming a journey person. We felt that's key, that demographic, the females need to really be part of the trades. They make up about 50% of our population, but yet they're not near that size within the trades. And we know there's some unique challenges, so our unions are taking on things such as daycare. We have daycare incentives going on, not just for the females, but for the males alike. Maternity leave is now part of most union benefits as well. So we're taking that into account. We heavily recruit and support efforts within the inner city to recruit city of Milwaukee folks to get to work. As you know, African Americans have a high rate of unemployment, particularly in males in Milwaukee, and we want to help get these people into family supporting careers. So we will regularly recruit with Employ Milwaukee. We'll visit SDC, and then, of course, our partner WRTP Big Step. We'll go to community outreach groups to try to educate these individuals as to the opportunity that's going on. And then, if we can, we'll get them into our readiness programs, which is primarily made up of African Americans through WRTP Big Step for recruitment into the trades. And we're making some great strides. The other thing that's greatly helping, at least in the Milwaukee area, are the commitments to a residence preference program. It is race and gender neutral, but it affords 40% of the folks on the job to be in the city of Milwaukee proper. And to qualify, you have to be unemployed or underemployed for a period of time. And that speaks directly to this demographic as well. And we recruit heavily for that. And when we get jobs such as Northwest Mutual, Public Museum, Fiserv, these jobs are essential. They are key to getting entry pathways for careers for these folks. One other exciting endeavor we're doing in diversity is in the Hispanic community. We're really recruiting heavily within that Hispanic community. They're a large part of the greater Milwaukee area, and we want these folks to not only assimilate here, but to enjoy a great living that can take care of their family with great benefits. So we are advertising on Telemundo. We're at Mexican Fiesta. We're building relationships with Humos and other Latino organizations such as LACLA to really educate these folks as to what the opportunities are, because in a lot of cases, they're already doing the work, but they may be underserved in benefits at their jobs or even pay in a lot of cases. So we'd love them to join our ranks too.
I'm happy you mentioned some of the partners and programs that are active right now, as well as bringing up Empower. I remember that was such a big conversation we had about, the pilot program for childcare, for example. I'm going to take a 180 and let's pivot to talking a little bit about infrastructure. Federal acts like IIJA, CHIPS, Inflation Reduction Act have been credited for quite a few projects taking off in Wisconsin. I think you have a pretty good feel on that. And I wanted to ask, what are some things on the horizon in that area that you're looking forward to?
Well, the Biden-Harris administration has done something that nobody's done really since the Roosevelt era, and that's really invest back into America directly with the infrastructure. And I mean, we can start with things like the the IRA bill going forward. That is just a direct infrastructure investment to help rebuild America, whether it's roads, whether it's green energy, you name it. This is all going to benefit us. As you know, there's a challenge for us to reduce our carbon footprint. So you're going to see coal plants going to gas, being converted. There's been billions of dollars already invested in renewables, whether that's solar, wind, water. This is all coming. The technology is changing. Nothing will stay the same. And the world we're living in will be greatly changed in the next 25 years. And these bills are really, really accelerating the pipeline movement that we have because we're going to need bodies to do this. They're not going to magically go up by themselves. We have to deconstruct the old ones while there's, keep them running until the other ones are up and ready to go. So this is huge. CHIPS Act, you don't have to look far for that. You can just go out into Racine County and see what's happening at the Microsoft place. If the pandemic taught us anything is, our electronic chips were not being manufactured here. We need to keep them in the borders of the United States being made here. We all heard about how hard it was to get cars and to get phones and some of the things that, we all depend on due to technology. And now they're correcting that. So if we ever run into such a situation again, we'll be better equipped to handle it. That helped drive a lot of inflation up and things like that due to supply and demand. These are all corrections, but they all have to be built. And what it's really doing, not only is it stimulating the pipelines for people to get into them, but they're moving the pipelines further ahead. The EPA has just moved it up to get all the lead lines out in the next 10 years. They want them all removed. And the city of Milwaukee has well over 700 of them. I think they started out, it was about a 70-year plan to get them all gone, and then it was 20 years. Now they got to do it in less than 10. That's what these bills are doing for us. And more importantly, these bills carry attachments to registered apprenticeship for them. So when we talk about these pipelines ain't leading to jobs, they're leading to family supporting careers, but because the Biden-Harris administration put in there that they have to be connected to a registered apprenticeship to get that money. It sounds easy, but it's really getting Congress and everybody to move in the same direction to do it. Kudos to the president and vice president for getting it done.
All right. Dan, it was good having you on the show. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about, or anything I didn't get to ask, or maybe any events coming up in the future you'd like to mention?
We talked about Summer Trades Academy, and I think you've been out in the past, but I really encourage you to come see this because it's really unique. We have individual students from all over the city, greater Milwaukee, the suburbs. They come out and they really get a taste of what it's like to be in our training centers, and they get that understanding. It kind of demystifies exactly what the apprenticeships are. As they go through high school, some schools it's not equal across the board as to their industrial ed classes. And in a lot of cases, they don't know where to instruct them to go to. So they're a little bit lost, and at times they're a little bit timid to say, I really would like to be that plumber. I really would like to be that HVAC person. And, it's a tough conversation, but, you don't know what you don't like until you really get in that situation, and that's what this is geared for. So we're very proud of the Summer Academy. We've grown it exponentially, and it's really making a difference. We get quite a few students out of there, both post high school and when they graduate. So we're really, really proud of that going forward. The rest of the stuff, we remain busy. I encourage anybody, if you're working in construction, regardless of where you are, if you're union, excellent, encourage your friends, your children, your neighbors, take a look at the industry if they're interested. If you happen to be working for a non-signatory, non-union contractor, it costs nothing to see if it's a better deal on the other side. So, don't be afraid. The conversation costs you nothing, and you may give yourself a raise and greater opportunities as well.
All right. Well, thanks again, Dan. You have a good rest of your day.
Okay. Thank you, Ethan.